Omega just announced the new Planet Ocean variation for the 20th anniversary, and there's a lot of big changes, a lot of exciting changes if you follow the Omega world. And to talk about them, we are introducing Trent, who is our in-house Omega expert, and he's going to tell us everything you need to know. Trent, tell us a little bit about the history of the Planet Ocean, how it came to be in the background.
The history of the Planet Ocean started in 2005. It was the very first 600-meter dive watch that they created with the new coaxial technology. They made it in two different sizes. It was a 45.5, which is the one I'm wearing with the orange bezel. And then they also made a 42 millimeter as well. It was a very big deal in the watch industry as far as the depth rating and the thinness in the watch. At that point in time, the other brands weren't really doing divers at that point at that depth.
Okay.
So it was a world premiere, and they did the best thing possible. They threw it on James Bond's wrist, and it just blew up after that.
And then leading up to today, to the new launch, how would you say that the Planet Ocean fits into Omega's diver lineup?
I think it's had mixed reviews throughout its life. I think the biggest thing with the watches, they were a lot larger, they were a lot thicker, so they kind of tended to people that had bigger wrists. The one thing that a lot of people did dislike about it is the helium escape valve. You know, it was pretty big. It wasn't common on most of the watches at that time.
We sort of expected an update for the Planet Ocean this year, right? Because it was the 20th anniversary. It took us a while. I mean, we just found out really in November that it was coming. I didn't have that much insider scoop on it. But let's talk about the biggest changes. I think the most visible change you see right away is no helium escape valve. And you have some good insight as far as working with clients and what the feedback on that's been over the years, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, being an Omega for over 10 years, the number one thing that we had a problem with was the helium escape valve. All the other brands don't really use an exposed helium escape valve.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of uncommon. You know,
it's just the aesthetic of it to people. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, most people in these days don't use a helium escape valve. Obviously, it's for saturated diving.
Yeah.
So a lot of the clients are like, if I'm not going to use it, why would you put it on the watch and be exposed and hitting my wrist? So when we saw it removed on the new Planet Ocean, I was completely
It's a huge deal because Omega's really kind of lived and died for that helium escape valve and defended it, as have the Omega purists.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't think you're going to hear very many negative thoughts about that change.
Okay. Without the external helium escape valve now, how can the watch still dive to 600 meters?
So because it doesn't have an external helium escape valve, it still has an escape valve. It's actually what's called an automatic helium escape valve. So they actually make a mechanism that goes inside the case. And what's really nice about it is it's not a manual helium escape valve. It actually would react on its own, which is what most dive watches have. Like the Sea Dweller is known to have an automatic helium escape valve.
So it's still there. We can still dive to 600 meters, which should be fine.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Real quick, we are authorized dealers for Omega here at Oliver Smith Jeweler. You can head to our website, oliversmithjeweler.com, to check out live inventory. We also take in trades. We sell new, we sell pre-owned watches, and you can check it out all on our website. Moving on to the case construction. We've gone down in case size. We're back to the 42 millimeter, but we've gone down significantly in the thickness of the watch.
Right. I was blown away because when I looked up the specs on the watch, it's actually thinner than the Diver 300 and lighter than the Diver 300.
Yeah.
So I was just like, how is this possible? And I think that the way they were able to do it, obviously, is the exhibition back has been removed.
Okay.
Because the coaxial is a tiered escapement, having an exhibition case back has to be thick enough to be able to handle 300 meters of water resistance.
Okay.
So by removing that, they were able to thin it down a little bit, right? They kind of went outside their normal playbook, and they've really changed the case design to be a lot thinner, more geometric, more like harder lines.
Right.
And it not only, you know, was nice because it thinned out the case, but it gave it a whole new feel.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they were just kind of, you know, refreshing something that was already existing. They kind of like rebuilt the watch from square one, which I absolutely appreciate. I mean, the integrated bracelet, you know, I think there's going to be mixed thoughts about that.
Okay.
Just because the high polished center link.
Yeah.
You know, on a dive watch, obviously, you know, when you're diving, barracudas love to see shiny things.
Okay.
So I think that's not going to be a good thing, right?
Okay.
Let's be honest. But I think that, you know, a lot of people don't really dive these watches. I think maybe it'll dress it up a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then obviously the integrated rubber strap gives it another like feel, you know, when you are wearing it more sporty.
You can pick the rubber strap if you've got an issue with the bracelet. There are technically 3 variations of the watch, all black dials, but different colored ceramic. We've got black and blue and orange, which is historically very important to the Planet Ocean collection, right?
Definitely. And Omega is very big on orange. If you've looked at all their collection, they usually put an orange variant somewhere, right?
Okay.
But what I was noticing is the last Planet Ocean that came out with a ceramic orange bezel had a white dial. And it didn't really mix with everybody. You know, some people liked it,
kind of loud.
Kind of loud. Whereas now they did it on a black dial, like they originally came out in 2005. It was one of their best-selling colors.
Okay.
So I think they really knocked it out of the park with doing that. I think they're going to sell a lot more of the orange than they did with the white dial.
And if you want bright color, then you get the orange on the orange rubber strap.
Right, exactly. And then if you want to tone it down, you can put it on the black rubber strap as well.
Perfect.
So it's really nice.
And ceramic bezels.
Yeah, so the ceramic bezel is kind of going back to the Diver 300, right? It's a ceramic bezel, but it has 5 layers of fired enamel, which is really nice because it gives that really bright white.
Going back a little bit to the case design, I think historically from Omega, we've seen a lot of twisted lugs, a little bit smaller.
Definitely.
And when we look at this, we both were talking about it being a little bit more brutalist. And I had this memory from when I was in Geneva with George and we were at Watches and Wonders this last year. We had a long 45-minute bus ride back to our hotel and we're both exhausted and we're both looking out the window. And when you get outside of the Geneva city center, which has a lot of, you know, kind of that classic Swiss architecture you might think of, the buildings themselves are actually quite brutalist. And I remember George and I saying that to each other. I was like, there's a lot of concrete and there's a lot of sharp lines. So I just kind of made that connection, and maybe that style is a little bit bigger in Switzerland than we think in America. Sometimes you just think of Zermatt and the cute little chateaus and a lot of wood. And I don't think that's all what Switzerland is like.
When I was visiting, I noticed the same thing too.
Did you? Yeah.
The other thing is I really love that they changed the indices to kind of match that brutalist design of the case as well. They're more blocky. They're just more modern looking, which I think is going to be a really great change for the dial as well.
Trent, in your opinion, who is this new Planet Ocean going to be for?
I think it's going to have a wider spread of audience because of the size. You know, a lot more people are going to be able to wear it. The other thing is that it looks different than most of the watches that everybody really has been waiting for, right?
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, if you've been waiting for a Submariner for the last 2 years, you know, maybe the wait's over. I mean, this is going to be completely different. You're not going to go into a restaurant and see 10 other people wearing the watch, so it'll make you a little bit more unique. And,
and same price point, right?
Exactly, same price point as well. And then obviously, you know, the movement and everything like that is the master chronometer movement, which is far more superior as well.
You talked about how now this watch is thinner than the Diver 300. There's a lot of updates that have been made to the Planet Ocean that we haven't seen the Diver 300. Do you think we'll see an update to the Diver 300 in 2026?
You know, I don't know about 2026, but I feel like yes. And I feel like if Omega understands their audience, they'll remove the helium escape valve on the Diver 300. The average consumer is not going to use it, and majority of the people do not like seeing it. So I hope to see that.
All right, you heard it here first. Well, we hope to have Trent back for many more Omega videos. If you like this content, make sure to follow along, subscribe. If you want us to cover a specific Omega topic, let us know in the comments. And then of course, if you want to shop Omega, we have a boutique in beautiful Aspen, Colorado. You can also head to our website, oliversmithjeweler.com. Thanks for watching.